Hi everyone. Hi Steve, how are you? So I'm just putting out this quick video, should be just a couple minutes, to address something that was said in the recent comments on Steve's most recent video. So apparently there's a Christian argument that goes as follows. How do we know that their idol was divine? Because God would have to descend to this earth in order to do what they say he did. The travesty claim where he redeemed everyone from sin and made the Torah that you don't need to fulfill it anymore, and all those other heresies. So just to address the specific proof that it must be true, because God couldn't do that without descending to this earth. Forgetting how all of that is filled with silliness and stupidity and contradictory ideas, just taking the argument that God would have to come down here, there's just no, it's an assumption that they're making but has no basis and is also wrong. First of all, how do they know that God can't sympathize? How do they know that? Were they there? Are they God's therapist? How do they know how God's mind works? How do they know that God can't deliver? That God can't deliver the people from sin without descending into this earth? How do they know that? Do they know what God could do? Do they know how it works? They should read the end of Eov when Hashem talks about, people are questioning or trying to think that they understand the ways of God, or they can make assumptions into how things work. Were they there when Hashem built this earth? If you ask a scientist about how much intelligence is in creation, right, we can't fathom how God works. So for them to first just make a claim that this must be true because God has to do it this way or that way, that's just false conceptually. And then you get into the idea of, is it true even? And it's not true, it's wrong, because Hashem could do anything. That we know. That's the idea of Hashem, that Hashem is God. He can't do anything. He has no dimensions. There's no limitations on him whatsoever. Therefore, if he wanted to, he doesn't want, it's all not true. But if he was planning on doing something like the Christians say that he did, where he's delivering everyone from sin and vicarious liability and atonement, all those things, why does he need to descend on the earth to do that? Why can't he just, so to speak, snap his fingers and the sin will be gone? He can't do that? Of course he could do that. So ergo, because he could do that without coming here, there's no proof anymore that their idol must be divine, because God, there's a requirement for a descendant, for God to descend to this earth. And the second point also as well, that God couldn't sympathize with the people without coming here. So forgetting about how do they know if that's true or not, it's actually false, because again, there's no limitation on God. God could sympathize, so to speak, as if that's a word we could even apply to Hashem. All these things that we find in Tanakh, where there are words used to describe human feelings to Hashem, are only meant to be taken, with a grain of salt. We can't really understand, Hashem is having tears or anger or feelings. Hashem is not man. And the Torah is just using these words for us to understand. But that's besides the point. Even using the word sympathy, quote unquote, who says God can't have sympathy? Forgetting about the question of who says he can't, he actually could, because he could do anything. So the proof, I'm not attacking here, did it happen? Could it happen, right? It's just that there's no proof, right? Forget about, it's all stupid, did it happen? No, it didn't happen. But the fact that you're going to argue that there's proof here that it must have happened, there's no reason to say that it must have happened, because we have no concept of how Hashem works, and we also know that Hashem can do anything. So therefore, it's they both fail. Incidentally, I find it kind of funny to say that God kind of descended here to sympathize with us who have a Yetzer Hara. So did he have a Yetzer Hara, and then he didn't sin? He was so righteous, or like when you have a Yetzer Hara, you're in like you have tests, right? You know, you have like Avram Avinu where he's not he doesn't understand something. So like, was he basically human while he was here? Is that how Christians understand the divinity of Jesus while he was alive, that he was a regular person? I'm just curious. I mean, I don't really want to know the answer. I don't really feel the need to understand the nuances of every heretical movement. But I mean, if someone will say, yeah, that's exactly how Christians look at it, then I mean, okay, whatever. I just was always given the feeling that they kind of, even on this earth, believed that he was all-knowing and above that. So I mean, in order to say that he was sympathetic and he went through the same tribulations, you have to say that he was like a regular person. And then, you know, why would you know if he never sinned? Like, how would you know that? You know, if he says that he didn't have an evil inclination, so if you make that claim, so then yeah, he probably never sinned. He never had the tools to sin. But if you're going to say that in order that he came here to achieve sympathy, which probably could only be done if, you know, you get the evil inclination. So then, how do we know that at 2 a.m, you know, he wasn't sitting with someone or somewhere? Do we have witnesses who watched him every minute of his life? We don't. So it's kind of a scary slope you're going to go down, slippery slope you're going to go down there. But I'm sure that there's some sort of Christian understanding there. I don't really want to know the answer. I'm just thinking how funny it sounds. But either way, just addressing the point, there's no proof that their idol was divine, because we have no idea how Hashem works. We have no idea how Hashem would do a deliverance or would feel sympathy. And we also know that Hashem could do those things without coming here. And so therefore, there's no proof. And furthermore, lastly, even if those were all true, how do we know that was with Jesus? Maybe it was with anyone else. Maybe Shabbatai Tzvi, you know, maybe because he also claimed to be God. So maybe he was God, and, you know, he also suffered, and maybe he delivered everybody. Like, it could be anyone, right? So even if you are going to take the notion and be like, well, we're going to assert that there has to be a divine person here, you still have no proof that it was Jesus, or maybe that person, quote unquote, didn't even come yet. But I guess just if someone just wants to make an argument that conceptually we could prove that there has to be a divine person here, there is no such proof. And I think that clears it up.